So, a few things here that I want to let you know about if you're planning on coming and going on a fishing trip with us here on the Speakers. And I can tell you, I'd be just as excited as you were because I can't get enough of it. Leading up to the trip, normally standard procedure is you would, call or myself or Marcus or book on the website and line up the trip. You put, a 20% deposit down to hold your day. You pick a day, and we plan on that. In the preceding days before the trip, I'll be in communication with you. It's always a good idea to give me a call. And hey, what's the weather looking like? Are we going to be good? Say for instance this Friday, I'll let you know what the weather's looking like, whether I'll need more time if it's questionable, and it'll be a matter of where we're going to have to call it that morning or not, whether you'll need to be on standby, or whether the weather pattern is looking terrible and we're not going to be able to fish. So that's one of the first things we'll need to do. And things you'll need to think about is what you'll need to bring to eat or drink. We have plenty of room for you to bring a cooler on the boat, so we don't mind if you pack a cooler for you and your friends, or a couple coolers. We don't need 420 quart coolers, on here. But if you want to pack a 140 quart cooler for your whole group, it's perfectly fine. We've got plenty of room here on the bridge deck where you can put it. And so make sure you have enough supplies, things like that. And if you have a tendency to get motion sickness, you might want to think about, taking some Dramamine or something before you come. But I would not recommend going out and getting hammered the night before we go fishing. You spend a lot of money to come do this, and I want your experience to be great. I don't want you to be sick the next day. And if you're hungover a little or something like that, you're more prone to start to get motion sickness. So that's never a good idea. I've been there and done that. Luckily, I don't get motion sickness, as long as I haven't been to the bar on that before. But anyway, so normally during the summer, we'll leave the dock at around 5:30. Of course, it'll be dark. We ask you to get here at least 15 minutes before the time of the boat departure. And it varies from time of year. Like, in the winter months, the fall months, it's getting light a lot later. We still leave pretty early, but at the latest it might be 6, when we leave or something like that. But that's all we'll communicate leading up to the trip. And so when you get on, you'll meet myself, me, Trent, my son. Maybe you'll be lucky enough to meet Marcus. And his son-in-law, the camera guy, Vita. Maybe they'll be able to go with us that day and get a lot of good footage. But as we're leaving, I'll give you a little lowdown on where the safety gear is, which is all under the starboard bench seating, which I will show you that morning. So you really need to pay attention to that. Not that I'd ever expect or want anything bad to happen, but in a safety situation or an emergency situation, it's always good to know where all the gear is, and I'll tell you that. The next thing we'll go over is handling the rod. All right, so what we're going to talk about now is rod handling. And the most important thing with these reel and rod setup is a thing called level winding. Well, some particular types of reels, smaller class reels, will have an auto leveling bar that runs across here. They call it level wind. And what it means is it keeps your fishing line level. Well, any one of these reels, will have a lot of yards of this monofilament on it. So if you don't keep it spread along the spool evenly, it'll pile up in the middle and hit the frame of the reel. So that's why it's very important when you're reeling into these fish out here. It's going to take a lot of line when it first initially hits. So what you got to do is try to gain that line back. And while you're gaining that line, you cannot let it pile up. So what we ask that you do is a thing called level wind. When you're cranking the fish in, you're taking your thumb and moving the line. Of course, this is going to have tension on it the whole time. You're taking your thumb and you're moving the line back and forth across that reel while you're cranking. And just making sure it stays, all level across that spool. And it's a hard thing to do because you're excited, especially if you've never done this before. You're excited, the fish is back there jumping around or down deep digging and you're wore out. It's a hard thing to do. But we always remind you to level one. But that's one thing, if you're not familiar with these rod and reel setups, that you'll need to do. And another thing, depending on the species of fish, will tell you whether you need to pump and crank. Well, a lot of times all you can do is pull up and put pressure on that fish. And the whole time he's moving up in the water column, and then you'll drop the rod and you'll crank the slack down. Pull up, drop the rod and crank the slack down. A lot of times that is the only way you can break that fish and get it to come up closer to the surface. So that's what we'll call, we gotta pump the fish, pump it. And then say if we hook a marlin, you're really not gonna do a lot of pumping because I'm gonna use the boat and go to that fish. So a lot of times you'll just be cranking. The rod will be in a steady position here and you'll be cranking. If we hook a giant fish, we have another harness that you can put around your back and it clamps to this reel here. And it takes a lot of the pressure off of your arm. So you can essentially let go of the rod. You still need to keep it steady and hold on to it. But if you need to take a break with your hand, it starts hurting, you can. You know what I mean? But that helps a lot. That's called a bucket harness. And we'll give that to you anytime you think you need it. But a lot of people don't like to use it because it kind of makes you one with the rod and reel and it freaks out a lot of people. But we're not going to let you go overboard here. So, but all things you'll need to know. And don't ever hesitate to ask us a question. You'll need to decide the order of who's going to go next to catch a fish. You know, who will be first to reel in the fish, who will be second and third, because many occasions when we get a bite, we get multiple bites. So, and it's a pretty time-sensitive situation where you can't, well, who's next? You know, we want all that to be laid out, you know, prior to our bite so people know which direction they need to go in. And we'll also ask a member of your party when you have one of your buddies or your friends or something in the chair, we'll want, you know, one of your crew to steer the chair is what we call it. And when you're fighting a fish in the chair, you always want to keep the rod and the angler pointed in the direction that the fish is in. So one of you will need to be behind the chair, swiveling the chair and keeping that angler pointed at the fish. We just want you to come on here and have a good time and share our love for this fishery and share our knowledge. What little bit we know, we're learning every day, but you share the whole experience with us. I mean, that Atlantic Ocean is such a beautiful place, and it kind of blows your mind because every day is so different. You know, you see different things every day. It's amazing what you see. And I mean, the only way I can explain it to someone who's never been before, it's like there's Discovery Channel shows, you know, like Blue Planet and stuff like that. You're actually seeing it with your own eyes. And you know, some days are better than others. The rougher days when, you know, the seas are high and the wind's blowing, you don't necessarily see as much as you do on a calm day. But, you know, you get up in that tower with me and you can look around and see, it's just amazing the marine life that's there. It makes you happy to be on this planet, to be alive. So, anyway, my friends, I hope you can come out and go fishing with us one day. And speedsofsportfishing.com and here on YouTube, Saltwater Fishing University. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, just as Marcus would say, stay salty, my friends.